She stepped over the stake like it was hers. Yeah, that's usually the moment they lose without knowing it. Didn't ask, didn't look. Just crossed the boundary line. Mud on heels, smile too clean. "This land's been dormant for years," she said. "Someone had to do something with it." Then she turned her back, snapped her fingers. The crew moved in. Caleb said nothing, just watched the dust rise, then took off his glove, knelt, brushed away the dirt, revealing the brass marker beneath. U.S. Survey Control Point, Monroe, 1954. She didn't see it, but the cop did, and paused, just enough. The line had been crossed and recorded. They used to mark it with orange tape, back when lines were made by hand, when Caleb's father would haul out a tripod and hammer stakes in himself, even if nobody else cared. He was a geotech engineer, never rich, never loud. But when he spoke about land, people listened. Caleb took the same path. 30 years in mineral survey and soil stabilization, mostly out west, until Amsterdam. That's where the work stopped, and the silence started. He didn't come back for profit. He came back because a voice in an old voicemail said, "Keep it marked, son. They'll come quiet, then fast." That was 3 months before the funeral. The voicemail was dated after the diagnosis. Now he lives in the workshop behind the house. Still sleeps on the cot his dad kept there during rainy seasons. Doesn't say much to the neighbors, but he walks the boundary every morning, like checking the lines held everything else together. The deeds in a plastic folder, laminated, initialed on every corner. And that USB drive, still plugged into the monitor, dusty, unread, but still blinking. At the last HOA meeting, she'd asked, "Mr. Prescott, you did receive our notices, correct?" He didn't answer, just glanced at the envelope she was holding. It was postmarked to an address that no longer exists, and he knew. Because he helped bulldoze it, his father's last letter said, "Hold the line, even if no one's left to stand with you." The sign went up at 8:03 a.m., red tape, silver clipboard, a printed notice with 6 seals and 0 explanation. Lorraine Whitaker didn't shout, didn't argue, she just showed up. With her crew, with her confidence, with a tone that smelled like she'd already won. "This parcel has been reclassified," she said, "to accommodate the revised residential overlay." Caleb stood in the shadow of his own barn, didn't nod, didn't frown. She pointed at the map, folded, laminated, already marked. Her hand hovered just long enough to cover the brass marker buried below. There was a public notice, mailed out 42 days ago. No disputes filed, which means, she smiled, the kind of smile that came from paperwork, not truth. This is now phase 4. Her assistant peeled a sticker off the roll, bright orange, stamped, "Build approved, Pair HOA Code 8.1. He slapped it on the fence Caleb built with his father in 1996. Still, Caleb said nothing, but his hand twitched once at the sound of adhesive sealing on wood. Then he saw it, the corner of her clipboard, silver, scratched, same model, same pin clips, same cheap hinge from the Delmar case 20 years back. That one started with a mismailed envelope too. He looked down, read the fine print on the notice. Effective unless disputed within 14 days. He checked his watch. Subtle, left wrist, long glance. Then looked to the officer leaning by her cruiser. She wasn't writing, she was waiting. Lorraine kept talking, more maps, more plans. But the way her voice rose, it wasn't for Caleb, it was for the cameras her crew set up. Caleb shifted his boots, dirt cracked beneath. And in that stillness, a fuse started burning. Quiet, precise, inevitable. Maybe this part made you pause a little. I've seen moments like this, where the quiet one gets pushed, and everyone pretends it's fine. If you've ever stood in that same stillness, feel free to share it below. And if these kinds of stories speak to something in you, you're welcome to stay for the next one. The first fence post went in on a Tuesday. No permits, no flags, just a dull thud in Monroe dirt. Caleb didn't stop it, didn't speak. He watched. The woman in the white blouse waved a clipboard like a conductor. Men with drills and tape lines moved fast, efficient, not careful. By noon, there were stakes in ground that hadn't been touched since 1954. Still, Caleb said nothing. He nodded once to the surveyor, a quiet man in a tan cap, then walked the edge of the property without stepping over it. His boots moved slow. His hands stayed behind his back. No one noticed him bend down near the third post, not even when he pulled out a folded slip of laminated paper. He wiped the dirt from the surface, gently, revealing a stamped legal code, still faintly legible. He folded it again, tucked it into his jacket, said nothing. One of the neighbors, a retired mailman named Gus, squinted toward the lot line, mumbled to no one in particular. Thought that corner was always Monroe land. No one answered. From the middle of the lot, Lorraine smiled, loud enough for the nearby tech to hear. No objections in 30 days means consent. It's in the bylaws. The cop heard her too, didn't move, didn't speak, just wrote something down in her notebook. The fence kept going up. So did the silence. But Caleb was counting, not stakes, not days, witnesses, who saw, who stayed quiet, who would be there when the ledger flipped. He didn't need to stop her yet. He needed her to keep going, and she did. One post, one lie, one step further, right into the line she couldn't erase. Caleb waited until the sixth post was in. Then he walked inside the HOA meeting. No raised voice, no warning, just boots on hardwood. Dust still on his cuffs. The projector flickered on as he handed over a USB. No fanfare. Slide 1, a copy of the parcel map, dated 1972. Slide 2, certified soil tests, signed by his father, same coordinates. Slide 3, scanned envelope, stamped return to sender, address not found. Sent last month. Address listed, 236 Dalton Street. The room shifted. Someone cleared their throat. Lorraine leaned forward, her smile tightened. Per our bylaws, if the owner doesn't respond to notice within 30 days, that notice, Caleb said, still calm, went to a property demolished in 2021. Silence. He didn't look at her, just turned toward the crowd. Mr. Callahan, he said to the oldest man in the room, you used to mow that back fence line, right? The man blinked, nodded slowly. It stopped right at the peach tree, Monroe side. Another voice joined in, soft but clear. A woman in a green sweater. HOA treasurer. Wait, Lorraine, didn't we confirm those addresses last quarter? Why's that one still in the database? Lorraine opened her mouth, then closed it again. Her fingers curled around her pen, but the ink didn't move. From the back, the cop stepped in. Said nothing. Just handed over a folded copy of the survey control Caleb unearthed, stamped, signed, dated. Everyone looked down. Caleb said nothing more. He didn't have to. He'd already won the room, by law and by memory. Lorraine stood. Click of heels, smile still on. Just thinner now. I have the signed approval from engineering, she said. Filed and time-stamped. This was done right. No one moved. Caleb turned, lifted a single folder from his chair. Didn't open it, just held it up, silent, until the woman beside him took it, passed it down. Each page had a signature, but not hers. Each stamp had a date, but one day too early. The room breathed in, then Caleb spoke. Only once. Who filed these? Lorraine blinked, just once. Her eyes darted, then settled back. My assistant handled logistics. I oversaw the process. Caleb nodded, like that confirmed something, then turned again, this time to the older woman in the back row. She stood slowly. My late husband worked zoning for 30 years, she said. I kept his records, all of them. Out came a soft folder, wrapped in cloth, folded 4 ways. She opened it on a nearby chair, an original subdivision map, with the Monroe line in ink, with the no-build zone clearly drawn. No variance, no exception, no overlap. Someone exhaled, sharp. Lorraine didn't. She stared at the paper like it might disappear. A younger HOA member stepped forward. So, you filed plans over restricted soil? Lorraine shook her head. That line wasn't visible in the county scan. It didn't show on digital records. Or, someone said from the side, you didn't want it to. Silence, then a pause, then Caleb, one last time. The surveyor you hired. What was his license number? She didn't answer. She couldn't, because there was no license, just a subcontractor, paid in cash, through an untraceable account. The cop finally moved, walked over, took the file from the chair. Didn't ask permission, didn't look at Lorraine. She sat down, this time slower. Not a word left her lips. The power, gone. The room, cold. The truth, undeniable. No police report was filed. No statement was made. Lorraine didn't return. Not that week, not the next. The crew packed up before sundown, left the stakes behind. Caleb didn't move for a while, just sat in the driver's seat, one hand resting on the gear shift, the other on an old cloth bag. When he stepped out, the light was lower. He walked to the north line, wiped down the survey cap, brushed the dirt off with his sleeve, careful, like he was touching something sacred, then opened the bag. Inside, a wooden post, weathered, cracked, but still whole. He lifted it with both hands, drove it in slow, no hammer, just weight, just rhythm. Then from the bed of the truck, he pulled one more piece, a faded tin sign, bent at one corner, letters hand-painted in red. Riley Creek boundary, respect the lines. He didn't look around, didn't raise his voice, just screwed the sign back into place. Same bolts, same holes, same silence. A boy passed by on a bike, slowed when he saw the man standing there with dust on his hands and a sign that looked like it had never left. "You cleaning up?" the boy asked. Caleb didn't smile, didn't need to. "Not cleaning," he said, "just putting the rules back where they were." The wind kicked once, then stilled. Nothing more was said, nothing more was needed. Because sometimes the strongest answer is the one no one dares to question. Some fences aren't meant to keep people out. They're meant to keep memory in. A dented sign, a line in the soil, hands that still remember where the edge once stood. No lawyers were called, no voices raised. But something shifted, not loud, just permanent. In towns like this, truth isn't written, it's passed down, held in the way someone replaces what others forgot. The wind will flatten a map, but it can't erase the nail holes in old wood, or the silence of a man who's already done the shouting, years ago. Sometimes it's not the land they're after, it's the space where someone still cares enough to protect it, without applause, without revenge. Just a quiet reminder, in tin and dirt, that some boundaries exist, even if no one's watching, and some people, they don't guard lines, they become them. Because peace isn't keeping what's yours, it's knowing when to stand still and let the world adjust.